here, Vlad of the Roost. I'm here with Eric. We are going to be doing some arms and armor talking and some fighting. As a Norse Vikingeer would be equipped. So my tunic is Eastern Russian, Eastern Middle Russian Viking from Sweden originally. And this would be a normal setup for a normal infantryman, a normal basic Viking that may not have a lot of wealth to their name, that's looking for wealth, usually targets with monasteries and so forth, armed with basic equipment. You have your sacks, or my long sacks from a replica from Burka. You have axes, which, of course, as anybody knows, axes is tool first and center, but it's also really good at hitting and hurting and killing people in the need be. Axes don't take a lot of iron to make, whereas a sword takes a lot. As you get wealthier, as you get higher up in the echelons of society, or if you just accumulate enough wealth, you might have enough to buy a sword. The most basic weapon that a Viking would have is a spear. Now this is a very short spear. This is my height for purposes of what I fight with, but a more proper length shaft for a spear would be something along that where once you reach your hand above your head and the tip of the spear begins. This would be proper. It gives you much more long distance when striking at with the shield wall, when you fight in the shield wall. But since we don't have any blunts, because this is a sharp, we're not going to be spear fighting. Axes, they're great depending upon the types. You can use it to hack limbs, but also you can use it to hook shield. Hook an opponent's shield, get them out of the way, push, poke, prod before you deliver a strike. But everybody loves sword fighting, and that's what we're going to do, sword and shield. Which, on a one-on-one is slightly different than what you would normally fight in a shield wall, or as a group, but it's a whole different topic. So we're going to do some sparring. We're going to do some light sparring. Not going to go full force on it. And the way that you come to shield fighting, there's a wide different array of types of proper stances and footing and so forth. Most times, you have closest towards the opponent. A lot of times, people will be low center of gravity with their shield slightly tilted. And the idea of that is if I come in with a strike, it's glancing, and then we're opening it up. Your main weapon is not actually your weapon. It's your shield. Because he has a big 34-inch shield in my way. I have a 32-inch shield. What I want to do is I want to get his shield open, get his shield out of my way so I can then exploit the opening with my sword or axe or whatever weapon I'm using. Because my shield actually gives me more reach than my sword would, I have more of a striking capability to open that up. So if I'm coming to a fight, I want to come to a fight with my sword first, my shield first, my sword second. Get his shield out of my way so I can strike at a head. I don't want to strike at a leg because if I strike at a leg, my arm is way down. That's a lot further to go than it exposes. But I'm going to try to get his shield out of my way.
Drop now.
I'm a notorious leg biter. But 85% or so, 90% of injuries to Viking warriors are 2 heads and 2 legs. And that's just because of the ergonomics of how the shield covers. Drop the shield to cover your leg, your head's exposed. Quick, wrap around, strike to the face, head. May not be a killing strike, may be a disorienting strike, at which point the follow-up finishes. And if you're in a shield wall, you don't want to break formation, because once you do,
Well, shield wall! Yeah, the feet are explosive. Oh, the feet.
Your head. And if I'm a spearman on the other side, I'm fighting against a shield wall. My main targets are going to be down in the leg or into the face, but I'm not attacking the guy in front of me. I'm actually attacking his buddy at angles in hopes that the guy next to me that has a spear is doing the same. So if I drop a low shot and he's in the wall and he drops his shield to block it, the guy that may be next to me, pop him in the face. And he's down, and if they don't clean it up fast enough, push into it, open it up, and then you have open battle.
And you wouldn't be fighting with a spear in the front rank.
I would not. The idea of a spear with a long shaft is to be able to attack at angles using my buddy in front of me who has a shield. Now I may have a shield strapped to my back. There have been grave finds with brass or bronze rings to be able to suspend my shield on my back out of my way so I can use both arms. But the idea of striking angularly also stems from a buddy in front of him. I can strike between him and my buddy, or so. I can come high, or I can even come low, depending upon how much space I have to play with. It's speculated shield walls are 3, 4, 5 guys deep. Usually front row is your best armed in armor. Those are the guys who have the mail, helms, good protection. You always hear about jarls and warlords and sea kings always dying in big fights, and that's because lead from the front. They are the best equipped, best armed and armored, and that's where you put your main guys. Somebody like me, a layman, a basic farmer who is decided to go on a Viking raid.
All those sashes.
Yeah, basic.
And armorings.
I'm a wealthy farmer. And if I'm just a basically equipped soldier, I don't want to be in the front rank. I definitely want to be using my weapon of advantage to open it up for the guys who are in front of me. But I wish we had more people to do a proper shield wall. It would be phenomenal. But anyway.
We'll get that eventually.
So
When we can have more than 10 people.
Most of your injuries are to the head, to the legs, and that's just because area of coverage. Also the fact that a shirt of mail doesn't cover you from your waist down. And some people have helmets and some people don't. Even a quick drop to the top of the head disorients you enough to come to a strike or a slash.
So Vlad,
Yes.
why wouldn't I carry my shield like this?
The reason why you never show a flat is because the shield, being a center grip, is a door. There's a center pivot point. You can see it rotates as so. You see a lot of people in TV shows that square up with their shields like that. If you come to me with a fight like that, what I'm going to do, I can turn around and show you what I'm gonna do. You come to a fight like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack your shield, and then there's your body. There's your arm, there's your head. If I want to reach further down, I can hit your leg if I really want to.
So why do you see flats in a shield wall?
The reason why you see flats in a shield wall is because though the shield is a center rotation, you give mutual support structure to your buddy's shield.
Turn around so we can see.
So if I'm holding the shield like so, I can't push against this if he's bracing his shield edge. Like that. And theoretically there are stacks of shields this way. So if you're standing and you're bracing like so, you are giving mutual support to the guy to your left and to your right, or woman to the left and to your right. But on a single one-on-one, showing the flat is always a dead. He's dead. Because you attack that way, and if you do attack and I attack it the same way, my sword, I can't reach it. My sword can't make it around because that shield gives a good cover. Now, a nice other thing about the shield being the door is if I'm attacking him square on, and he has a shield holding properly like so, there's a lot of cover from the top of his brow down to about the upper part of his upper thigh. But I can attack his weapon arm, which doesn't give you that much coverage, by doing the same door mentality. I can step into the shields, into his weapon arm, and attack. I might catch him. He might do something to the defensive, catch my blade, which would be fine. I can bring it up, and then I have his leg. And guess where his weapon is? His weapon arm is way out of the way. He's pinned. He's done. Not all strikes are killing strikes. My main strike is not aiming to attack him actually. My main attack is trying to open his shield up. Now I could be cheeky if he's holding the shield like so in the normal angled stance. If he's not careful, and if I'm cheeky enough, I can put my sword in between. And that's a gut shot. And the next thing that he thinks about is not striking me. He's thinking, crap, I got a 37-inch blade in my gut, and I'm feeling pain. And then he might be stumbling backwards, he might go down to the ground. Then I move on either to the next target, have the guy behind with my spear, finish him off, go from there.
Your spearman.
My spearman is my friend. Because it's all, with the shield wall, it's all about mutual coverage. Guys in the first few ranks, they're mutual coverage to each other with the round shields. The guys behind, protecting them from enemy spear strikes. You can use the spear to parry as well as to attack, but also try to open up that opponent's line.
So if not many people were carrying swords, what were they carrying?
So, as I said earlier, the axe was predominantly the main battlefield weapon. And just for simple math, because I'm not good at math, if it takes 5 chunks of metal to make one sword, and 1 chunk of metal to make an axe head, and I'm using these fancy silver rings to pay for a Vikinger trip, economically, it makes more sense to arm 5 guys with 5 axes than 1 guy with a sword. Spears are the same way. Spears do not take a lot of metal. They're very cheap to repair. If the shaft breaks, you just find another stick that's about the same length, whittle it down to a taper, put the spearhead back on. But the majority of close quarters fightings are going to be used by your axe or used by a sax. This is a replica of one of the Swedish, or the Birkefines. It's a long sax. It's tapered differently than a normal Anglo-Saxon Jorvik style sax, which I have on the table over there. But this would be a good fighting and more common on the battlefield. And the way that you can use the axe is several different ways, just like with the sword in your fighting stance. There are some people that do fighting that use the axe as a poking prod and hooker. I can use the axe as a parrying method, so if he's looking at coming in, I can use that out of his way, and then there's the return. You can also use it to poke, so if you give me a square shield, I don't even need to attack with my shield, I can poke it with my axe. Hook it, pull it out of my way. And if I'm in a shield wall, and my opponent is there, I have enough reach on my axe, I can pull his shield down, and he's a nice big smile on his face getting 1 or 2 spears, or maybe even a sword drop down. There are a wide array of different types of axes. This is just a basic blunted axe I have for sparring. They come in all shapes and sizes. You have half beards, where there is no point, but there is a protrusion. There are full beards that have a longer beak at the bottom, or a beard. They have ones with more predominant beaks. You have a short dane, which is a war axe designed specifically for war, usually hafted about a little bit shorter than a spear and used to drop on people's heads. This, I have it as a shorter haft because I'm a short man, and I like to use this poking, prodding, and sweeping. And as you can see, the profile of it is very purpose-bound. This is designed to catch people. This is designed to hook a blade out of the way, jab him in the face, and then your next strike is bringing him down on his head. Now, as I said earlier, axes were tools too, predominantly tools that were adopted for battle. This is what's called a side axe or a hewing axe. You can see the profile is similar, and this is predominantly used for woodworking. It's edged on one side, flat on the other. It's meant to hew trees, make planks out of boards and so forth. You stand on the log and you hack it to make a straight line for building your long boat, building your long house, planing boards for shields and so forth. But this, I mean, if I smack somebody with it, it's gonna hurt just as much as if I smack it with something like this. But this is a tool for woodworking. This is a tool for battle. This is a tool for war. This is designed to be chopping into an opponent, not a piece of wood.
Angle of the blade. So if you go above the shield, the angle of the blade is coming straight down.
If I'm catching the shield, that's still an axe in my face. And that's actually quite terrifying. Just standing there, just kind of. So,
That's
I can only
trust.
imagine. And then you have guys that got hyped up on some shrooms. And his job it was to break the opponent's shield wall. They'd be armed with a Dane axe. Again, they're usually hafted about slightly overhead, 6 foot. I had a tall thing, but it broke. But and they're meant to either drop them over top of the shield wall, or my job is to try and bust through. Now I may die in the process, but if I go to Valhalla while doing so, it's all good. My job is just to hack, break through the shield, open it up. And once the shield wall breaks,
Such a little guy doing that. It's funny. Get up, man.
once the shield wall breaks and the formation itself, the solid formation, breaks up, then you get into more one-on-one combat. People are routed usually. Fights don't last very long after the shield wall because of less equipped guys further back in the line. I don't want to die if I don't have to. Because rule number 1, don't die. Rule number 2, don't die and try to kill your opponent.
Rule number 3, sticking with the pointy.
Rule number 3, sticking with the pointy end. So we're going to do some sparring as we wrap it up. But yeah, basic arms and armor. Anyway, yeah.
Oh! You got hamstrung.
That would be a blow that would take me out of the fight.
Yeah.
With an edged weapon, I'd be on the ground. He might be feeling his because I did catch him a little bit on the backside. But that's, again, injury areas. And since we don't have helmets, we're trying not to. That was almost my nether region. That's basic one-on-one fighting for the most part. So I'd like to thank you, and check out Viking and Rigger Crafts. I'm also got to put my plug in. Shieldcraft Emporium. I make shields, round shields, kite shields, heater shields designed for what we were just doing. Combat reconstruction, sparring, SCA, and so forth. You can find me on Etsy at etsy.com/shieldcraftemporium. Again, I'd like to thank you all. Have a good day.